We got this. There we go. There we go. Happy Sunday, everybody. Pop in, say hi. Let me know where you're visiting me from. Hi, if you've never met me before, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And this is my second live show. Actually, this is my first live show, Chatters Live. Um, What's my good cheer, which is my second live show, is actually a show that I built and I grew on Instagram, in practicing that craft, as I move forward. And I suspect if you're hanging out with me, you're kind of moving along with me too. Otherwise you wouldn't hang out with me unless you just find me that entertaining. But I suspect not. I think we have grown to be quite familiar with each other, haven't we? And it has been years, and I am so grateful for that company because it could have been a very lonely kind of story that I was playing out, in this movement that I'm making. I find a lot of it is quite confusing, right? It is unfamiliar, and I have to take it in baby steps because there's such important topics that I'm learning, that I'm working in. And I'm so grateful, right? Like I said, that on Sunday nights at the very least, right? Chatters Live, my second live show here on YouTube, it can get pretty deep. But here on Chatters Live, well, my moderators chat more than I do. And hello, Owen, Andrew, Kathy. Thank you so much for popping in. I am exhausted. I just got home for dinner, but I'm also in that exhaustion, that feeling when you need the couch and you have to wear those pants that are too tight. You have to undo the zipper and the top button, because I treated myself today. Today was my birthday, and I thought I would treat myself to one of my favorite meals in the whole world, which is breaded veal. Good old American Chinese food. I had some breaded veal, some steamed rice, and some gaiku, and some sweet and sour sauce. And it was such a beautiful meal, but right, I do feel quite full. But I made myself a cup of coffee, right? I popped in here, right, on my birthday. My sister popped into my work today. Tracy, she's only been to my work, I think, once before, and it was quite lovely that she popped in. She gave me $62 in a card. Not only that, you guys, let me show you. I hope I brought it home. Oh my goodness. She ordered this for me online, and it's going to serve me quite well. She bought me a new wireless microphone. Remember what I said, that I destroyed my wireless microphone? So she bought me this. She ordered me this online, and it's actually a dual set, because if I do some interviews, right, it's important that the people that I interview also have their own microphone, and then there's a receiver that goes into your phone, because I do all of my filming with my Pixel, and I'll be getting the Pixel 8, but I'm trying to work my budget out in a way, because in the next couple of months I suspect that I'm going to be divvying out quite a bit of money. It's part of my movement forward. I have to get my glasses fixed, and that's going to cost me a few. That's the first thing I'm going to do, because I can't keep going on, right? Like, who's going to take me serious, looking like Oracle, and right, with broken glasses? The handle on my glasses don't even go to these glasses. I actually had to break an old pair of glasses that I had, and I gun taped. I gun taped the handle onto them just so that I could manage until I could get the glasses. It's going to be a couple of more weeks until I have them, but actually 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks until I have the glasses taken care of. I also have a little bit of money already put away and assigned to get the dental work done. I have to have two important things, but these are my choices, you know. And when we talk about choices, and it is my one word. You know, I have tried different words that represent me. I've changed them so many times, right? More than I change my underwear in a week, I think, right? It's the fact that when I woke up to some of these ideas, you know, it was in trying to find out. I understood my purpose came from my pain, but, you know, there's always that one word that represents us so well. On my live show, I was talking a little bit about my friend Lorraine, one of the girls that I work with, and how she lost 9 close loved ones in the past year. And her one word is compassion, because when these things happen in the family, or right, and close friends, that they take to her, like, right, if they're she's the one that manages to get everybody through the heartbreak and the grief, right? And it's her compassion, her understanding, and her feeling and of what's going on. It really does help her family out so much. But you know, she's had 9 really close members of her family and friends pass away, and I really thought that, right, we were moving into a new year and a new friend passed away. But when I was saying that, it was only in reference to her one week word, because we were talking a little bit this week on Instagram and my other show, right? Oh, YouTube. Sorry, YouTube on my other show. What's my good cheer? We were talking about our one words, and my one word. I've been through so many, you know, growing up as a child. You know, I always felt that my one word was this word, despite, right? Despite what anybody thought, despite whether I could afford it, despite despite the consequences, right? So this word served me so well because it made me take my piece of the pie, right? And I didn't do it in a selfish way, because, right, my upbringing, it didn't allow any space to be selfish in any way. But it was the one thing that I did do for myself, was take my piece of a pie, understanding that Cindy only has this one life, and that I deserve to have the best life that I could possibly create for myself. But, right, making bad choices, a lot of trusting people that maybe I should have been a little bit more, what do you call it? A little bit more trying to think spectatorish, like not so eager to jump into relationships and conversations, because it in rash decisions, that's where we well, at least that's where I make mistakes, is making those decisions fast. So, you know, when I first woke up to some of these ideas, you know, right, my purpose comes from my pain. Okay, I get it. I know where my pain lies. And I didn't realize it was all going to be expanded from that. But, right, attaching a one word that represented me. And I remember trying on so many different words, right? Working through other people, you know, to help me discover what my word was. I do believe there was the word kindness, right? It felt really good, right? Because the thing that your one word is what you put out to the world, but at the same time, it's supposed to mean the one thing that you need the most, right? And, it kind of made sense that kindness was going to be my one word. But there were a few words in that process. And I can't believe even waking up to these ideas. And now we're going on a half a dozen years later, possibly, that finally, I've always had this one word, but I didn't wear it like it was mine. And you guys could probably, I don't know if you guys can actually figure out what that one word is. I won't give you any time because if you watch on Instagram, it's probably quite obvious that my one word is choice, right? A lot of those amazing, dazzle, amaze decisions that I made, movement that I've made, came from my choices, especially in the past few years. But also looking back on my life, a lot of that heartbreak, a lot of that betrayal, a lot of that misstepping on my part, a lot of that procrastination, that self sabotage. Oh, we could go on and on with all the limiting beliefs, right? And even though those beliefs were influenced, right, in that programming, right? I had a choice. I had a choice. I always had a choice. So I have to appreciate that some of those choices that I made served me very, very well. It's funny that I say that even because I had a little conversation on this subject today. I have these kind of right? I practice my craft in the job that puts the roof over my head, and I was talking to one of my customers about this, this idea of choices, that we step into our own doo-doo. We create our lives. And as easily as I made some good choices, I made some bad choices. And I can look back on some of those choices that I may have perceived as bad, but if I actually delve into them, they actually were very, very good choices for me because they allowed me to have my sisters in my life, right? I could have made that decision as a teenager to run away from home, right? I could have made that decision to, right, despite the programming, right, despite the influence or manipulation, that I could have had trust and had these important conversations with people that might have stepped in on my behalf or maybe given me some influence or advice that I could better manage my situation, right? I could have talked to people, but I was so disillusioned, right? And I was programmed in a way that I felt that, right, everybody's world was going to crash if I opened my mouth about anything, not just my life, right? Wouldn't have a roof over my head, right? I could have ran away from home. And for those of you who are just popping in, I had a very dynamic relationship with both my parents, but one positively and one negatively, And in the 60s and 70s, we didn't understand postpartum depression. And looking back, and I spend a lot of time in delving into the topic and really taking a look at that relationship that I had with my mother because, right, that was my nemesis. That was the directive of the decisions and choices that I've made in my life, right? And like I said, I could have made different decisions, but if I had made different decisions, I wouldn't have got to spend those last couple of decades, right, with my father. I wouldn't have been able to, even in this moment, still have those relationships, those binding and bonding relationships with my amazing sisters, right? through my choice of, right, being resilient in, right, biting my tongue, right, but still understanding that despite all of that, I was still going to create the best life for myself as I possibly could. And isn't it funny that I made those realizations back then? And, right, I wasn't woke to any of these ideas, any of these conversations at all. And I think the fact that I naturally moved in my life and taking my piece of the pie is one of the big reasons why I'm invited to this party, right? Right? And get that opportunity, right? To take other people along in this party, right? Because this is my brand, right? And anybody can hang out here, right? I have the most amazing moderators. And if you've never popped into one of my lives before, if you get to that point where you want to pop in, even just to say hi. Hi, Melvin. Hi, Melvin. Right? Do so because these guys yap more than me. And their hearts are just as expanded as me, even if they don't get half the stuff that I talk about, right? They get my heart and I get theirs. And because this is Sunday night chatters live, right? It's casual, it's light, and we play it by ear. Whatever the conversation is, that's what we're going to lead into, right? That's what we're going to lead into. But isn't that amazing? So I got two microphones. It's got a charging box with this. It's got a charging box, and it's got the receiver for the phone, and so I'll be able to do interviews. I have two really incredible people to interview. They said they would love. Well, one was a little bit, right? But it's not a matter of recognizing, right? Because we all have handicaps, we all have problems, and sometimes we have to overcome ourselves. Sometimes we have to overcome that judgment of others, sometimes that our judgment of ourselves, that we have to take into consideration that our movement forward is in a direct result of what we can contribute to this world. I believe it 100%. You get what you give. I have two people in my life, very interesting people. And they're people that you wouldn't think that would be in my life. Now, right, I don't have friends per se. I don't have people coming over and hanging out with me and stuff. But these are people that I bump into all the time. And one of them was a bouncer that I worked with when I was bartending and waitressing in a nightclub. I worked there for 15 years, and he was our bouncer. And as much as I had a dynamic life, he puts my life to shame, and that was his life, and those were his choices, and and we could only say that we are like the people that we surround ourselves with, right? And I surrounded myself with this gentleman, and he was a gentleman because I treat people how they treat me, because I understand just because I get along with so and so, it doesn't mean that somebody else is going to get along with so and so too, because we all rub each other differently, right? Everybody loved my mom. Everybody loved my mom, right? And yet me and my mother had this really estranged, difficult, scary relationship, and it carried on right through my adulthood. And yet I had to be, right, the obedient child in order to carry on, because my father had passed away, right? I could have left the family at that point, but these were my sisters. This was my family. You never deny your own, because in the end that's all you got. And I didn't want to be alone, and because they were right willing to accept me, tolerate me, right? Trauma bond with me, right? That we were able to keep those relations going. And it's really quite amazing that we all live in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Me and all three of my sisters. I have two nieces and a nephew, but we're from Vancouver, and you know, you would think that the family would break up when they would get married, or right, and go off and do other things. Me and my sister both came out to Winnipeg, but we did move back to Vancouver for a year or so before moving back to Winnipeg permanently. I just love this province. What's so special about this province is the people, those those amazing people that truly represent one of my mission statements, which is it takes all kinds to make the world. And you know, and it's not a matter of tolerating what's different. It isn't like that at all. It's accepting that we can't survive without each other, right? We have the extreme weathers here, the extreme colds, extreme summers that, you know, 100 years ago, you would only have a neighbor maybe 5 miles down the road, right? Quite often. And you needed to get along with your neighbor, right? Your life, your life depended on it. And it's so amazing that this kind of mindset has carried on, right? Even over 100 years later, that this beautiful, right? They don't call us friendly Manitoba, right? On the driver's plates, every province, it says something about the province, like in BC, or the plates say beautiful British Columbia. Alberta is, I can't remember Alberta. I lived in Alberta too. But yeah, here in Manitoba, it's friendly Manitoba. And we are absolutely friendly. Now, I'm not quite sure how we got into that conversation, but I will carry on. Nancy's here too. Nancy, you will not believe the cute little outfit I got today for you. I'll go grab it and show it to you. I'm putting a little Christmas package together for Nancy. I'm only sending 3 packages out this year. Only sending 3 packages out there this year, and they're already designated. So, okay, so let's start off with the little diaper panty things. Look at that. Aren't they cute? I got that for your dolls. And then I got the little matching dress. Look at that, Nancy, with the crinoline underneath. Look at it, it's got crinoline underneath, and it's for like a little baby. Isn't that adorable? Yeah, so I got that for you, but that's not all. It came with, it's so tiny, so tiny. It came with a little jacket. It came with a little jacket too, right? So I bought that to go with your package with the matching diaper. I don't know. Do your dolls wear diapers, Nancy? I don't know, but let me know. But that's what I got for your box for this year. But I thought it was absolutely adorable, and I thought your dolls, it would look so good on your dolls. So yeah, so I've got a lot of things to accomplish in the next few months. I need to get as much done on these medical needs that I need to get done, because oh right, that's where the conversation was. So it's in our choices, right? That's what it was. Choices are my one word, because it's through my choices that I move forward, right? Because would you guys be inclined to hang out with me? Well, maybe you guys would, because you know who I am. But, you know, for what I want to do in passing down the lessons and stuff, we have to be able to relate to you. We need to be able to, or you need to be able to relate to us. And like, how connected would you be if, right, I was missing my front tooth. I chipped my tooth. I chipped my tooth. So yeah, so the dental work has to happen, and it's going to be expensive. And the glasses, for sure. The glasses are the first thing I'm going to do, only because, right, I'm doing the live shows now. And look at that reflection. Oh, right. It's like these are like flashlights, but I'm going to have non reflective so that we don't have that anymore. And I do need to have a proper pair of glasses. So we'll get that big expense out. But because it's not going to be quite $1,000, I'm going to start my teeth also, because fiscal year is on January 1st. So I need to get that $1,000 into my medical by the end of the year. So I'm going to start my teeth too and see if I can get maybe $500 or $600 worth of that dental work cost, because I'm sure it's going to cost me 1,000 or more than 1,000. I'm sure, right? And get that done before Christmas too. But that's it, right? My choices, because I could choose not to work on my teeth, right? And then end up toothless. But who am I going to draw into these kind of important conversations, especially when I'm supposed to represent as the evidence in my own life? And I have to take care of myself. I have to make myself that priority. And it's not in a selfish way, because I'm not asking for extra. That extra comes on my vacation for 2 weeks in September. That's the extra every year. But I do have to take care of myself, and I do have to do these things for myself, right? I'd much rather spend that money on other things, right? I would, right? Easily. I procrastinated. You know what I did? I went and I bought a brand new editing program that I didn't need because I had one, but because the first one couldn't get it to work, thought maybe, well, if you buy another one, Cindy. I'm happy to be back with Premiere Pro. I am happy to be back with Premiere Pro. But I didn't need to spend that money, and that money was for my glasses. But I made that choice, didn't I? And in making that choice, I guess I did stumble onto the problem, right? Through the process of elimination. But it's going to be a little bit of a struggle in the next few months. But that's my challenge, right? And I find it exciting because I'm being the evidence that I need to take care of myself, right? Toothless, right? Broken glasses, right? If I hadn't taken care of my living experience, I could have been homeless, right? Through my choices, I'm making myself not more acceptable to people, not more presentable to people, but maybe more relatable, right? You won't be distracted saying, right? You might not feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to listen to Cindy talking about moving forward, making good choices when she can't even make that choice to save money and get that dental work done or have her glasses fixed, right? So, right, this idea of my one word, it has been a thorn. It has been my Achilles heel, because I always failed. I thought kindness was my right. I worked through the process of finding my one word with somebody, and we came up with the word kindness. It was a great word. I liked that idea. It was something that would help me to move forward, but at the same time, it was something that I needed, and I did need kindness, right? Because I not in a victim kind of way, but in that compassionate looking back on that child that I was, at that young teenager or young adult or older adult, because some of these ideas I didn't even wake up to until well into my 50s, right? That I could have made different choices. I could have, right? And I should have on a lot of them. Even right now, where I'm sitting right now, I could make better choices. But I'm doing the best I can in the things that I can do, right? In taking care of myself, being the evidence to fill up my own cup, right? I'm not serving myself to serve myself, right? Right? I'm not doing that. I'm serving myself to take care of myself. And, right, maybe kindness does work, but I think that word choice is a better one because I had to choose to take care of myself. I had to make those choices to part with my hard earned money and invest in myself, right? In preparation for what, Nancy? What are you saving your money for? Fill us in, dear. Oh, or maybe you already did because the comments are flowing already. Let me go back here and see what you guys are yibbering about. Last one I saw was Nichols with Nancy with her laughing tears. Okay, so here we go, Nancy. Pray for me, Cindy, and all, because if the government here shuts down because of no House Speaker, I can lose. You could lose your housing? You could lose your housing? Oh my goodness, Nancy. You're going to have to become a Canadian and come hang out with me. Right? Cheap housing. And then you'll have a friend to boot around town with. But then we'd have to dress you up warm. You won't like having to get yourself into a snowsuit, that's for sure. That's too bad. That's too bad to hear that. I know my friend Cindy from Cindy Vlogs. I don't know if you remember her. She used to come in all the time to Prairie Dodgers. Let me know if you remember my friend Cindy Vlogs. She has a YouTube channel. She's an urban explorer too. She lives in Nevada. She is not a fan of Biden. She really doesn't like him, but she is a big fan of Trump. And some of her posts are very political, right? So I try not to weigh in on my opinions, but she serves up these political ideas in very humorous, light manners. Like it's not really like mean or anything, but right, you do laugh at what's going on. I don't understand. I don't know really anything about Biden except for I don't know his first name, but I know he's President Biden. I know he's very old, like very old, and that's all I know about him. That's all I know about. But I don't even know if he's married. That's how tuned out I am when it comes to the politics, right? When it comes to presidents, I really liked Ronald Reagan. I don't know where he swung in the way, whether it's Democrats or liberals. I don't know what it is in the States. Democrats, I know they have Democrats, and see, I'm not even a political person that way. I don't even know why I try to weigh in on these conversations. But when I see it gets stirred up when I see that Nancy is talking about maybe not having a roof over her head. And I can go through anything, absolutely anything. Don't give me any money, no groceries, no utilities, but not to have a roof over my head. Well, you guys know how I felt about that. You know how close I came. That for me is the scariest thing ever, not having a roof over my head, right? I was taught to be grateful to have a roof over my head, right? That there always seemed to be that possibility at any moment that rug could be Right. Even as a small child, I had that feeling that that rug would be, whoops, sorry, whipped out from underneath me, and then I would end up with no home and no family. Right. It was a threat. Right. Incredible. It really is incredible. Like I'm long past it, but the thing is, there are lots of people who are having to choke choke down these ideas and these projections of really crappy parenting. Have to say, my mother was right, and yet she was amazing, right? How do parents do favoritism? That was in my family, not with my dad, but with my mom, right? I was totally insignificant. I don't remember having conversations with my mother, right? I don't remember ever being hugged or kissed or told that I was loved by my mother. She was different, right? She was really different, and yet other people loved her. And so, oh, this was the idea when I came into my life, right? Is that when I said that I had a couple of friends that were very, very different, right? You might not get them, right? They might rub you the wrong way. But the idea is we have to judge people how they treat us because I've seen the evidence own in my own life that just because somebody's close to you doesn't mean that they have your best interest at heart. And just because somebody's your parent and dictating to you and putting a roof over your head and putting a plate or throwing across the table at you, right? Not throwing. I shouldn't go that far. There were moments probably that they were throwing, right? But right, be grateful for the food that you have. That in these ideas that I have to be grateful that I got through that, right? That I managed to end up here anyway. That not all people get to have that amazing, amazing upbringing, amazing that they do, but quite often that you'll see if it's so normal and not dynamic, right? That if we don't have these traumatic moments, that if we're not thrown into contemplation and problem solving and right hypervigilance, that we don't get to discover any of these things about ourselves and about others, and we don't really we make movement because we move with the majority, right? That's evolution. We're not Neanderthals anymore, but we're only not Neanderthals is because as a whole we have grown together, maybe not willingly, but because of judgment, right? That sometimes we don't have any choice, right? Sometimes we don't. So innovation, it goes on everywhere. And I think, right? And you can see it just in the evidence of looking back 50 years or 100 years or 1,000 years, that there's always been that progression, right? But I do believe it's because of our choices that we are who we are or what we are, right? I think we all started in the same place, right? Even the birds and the alligators, that at one point we were all the same, but in our choices, right? And evolution changes, right? And whatever the majority is, that becomes the next stage of evolution. And then everything else, right, just falls to the wayside, right? Extinction, that movement forward, right? That's why I say I'm grateful to be invited to this party so that I have an opportunity to tread some water and maybe, right, get a little prep work in, right, before that need arises and I'm not prepared, right? And it's not in so much in a hypervigilance. I shouldn't make it sound like, that I have to, because I don't have to, right? I want to. It's a good choice, right? Because I could choose differently, right? Any one of us could choose differently, right? I could choose not to get my glasses fixed. I could choose to be, right? That tooth can fall out and I could be toothless, a front tooth gone, right? And even though you guys know me well enough to know who I am, that how I look is not going to mess with that, right? Drawing in new people, right? We understand that quite often appearance does matter, right? We want people around us that look like us, that feel like us, that think like us, right? That move like us. But with me, it takes all kinds to make the world. And because I understand that we're all in different stages of evolution, that, if we can kind of move with the same values, with some of the same ideas, even though we're so differently, right? We think different religions, different political ideas, right? Different mindset, right? Different education, different interests, right? Different upbringing. And all of this makes for a different recipe for each one of us and makes us so different that we could never truly be exactly the same as anybody else. And but yet we try, don't we? Right? And I spent many decades, right, chameleoning chameleon chameleoning, there you go, chameleon, oh, hard word, into, you know what I mean, right? Into being acceptable and having my teeth fixed and having my glasses fixed. Um, it serves me, right? It sounds like I'm worried and I'm stressed about what other people think about me, right? But I won't be able to eat properly if I don't fix my teeth. I could ruin my teeth even more because now I'm going to lean on different parts of my molars and stuff when I eat, that I could do even more damage. I should have, right? Maybe get my teeth right away. And these aren't so bad that if I do something to my other teeth, I have a spare that I won't have to invest anymore, right? These glasses, now this is a conversation that we were having also this week. Now I did finish what I was saying about earlier today, having that conversation, but we'll get back into it anyway. But today I was saying, like 100 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to probably afford having my glasses. I have a very expensive prescription for glasses, and a very strange prescription because it's a Eastern European condition that I have in my astigmatisms. There, it's quite common for Eastern Europeans to have this, so that's why I know I've got some Eastern European. But I think it's like that, right? Well, we'll get into that conversation another day. But but um, my glasses 100 years ago, what would have I done if I had this eye condition that I have now, that I would need this very strong lenses 100 years ago? Would they have even been making my prescription? Or would I be walking around looking at everything and looking at it in a perspective of looking through wax paper? right? Looking through wax paper, and that's what I would have happened. And then I was having the same conversation with my sister a few days ago on her day off when I went to visit her. And she says she agreed 100%. And I didn't even consider her situation because I said to her, I says, diabetes, Tracy, 100 years ago, it would have been just around 100 years ago when they discovered insulin, right? She would have died a long time ago from her diabetes, but because of innovation and because they make insulin now, she has expanded in her life. And then she says to me, well, also don't forget, Cindy, I just had my hip replaced last week. Were they doing hip replacements 100 years ago? I would have died. I would have died from breaking my hip 100 years ago. And she is 100% right. Right? 100% right. She said she invested some serious money into her wellness, into her well being, into some special medication. And she had to pay out of pocket for it because it was special medication, right? And she's willing to do that. And I think that is the most incredible thing she could possibly do for herself because it's just money, right? And this is her life. But that is her choice. She made that choice, right? Like you don't make any movement at all if you don't make choices, right? And sometimes we have to make those difficult choices. Like I said, I don't want to part with that money for my teeth. I don't want to part with that money for my glasses, right? But I make that choice because I know in a world where, right, people judge and not everybody knows me, right? They don't know that right. Cindy's just not poor or wasteful with her money, right? That she's working on getting her glasses fixed because she knows how important it is because of that judgment and because I'm practicing my craft and because when I come to the table with that craft, I want to be relatable, right? Relatable and not have somebody say, "Oh my goodness, I'm not taking any advice. I'm not listening to that woman who's got gun tape along her the arm of her glasses and is missing her front tooth, right? Right? And it could happen. It could happen. So I want to be on it. So in my choices, this is what I choose to do. It's part of my goals for this year, right? I've set some goals, right? I'm going to do a whole lot more than these goals. I will, but I don't know how difficult they are. So anything else, right? Set these 3 goals. Get my teeth done, fix my glasses, and plan next year's vacation. We're going to do an RV. I think we're going to do an RV. Yes, I think we're going to do an RV next year. It will be a limitation in where I can keep it, in going out into the bush and stuff. But the provincial parks, they want those customers. They want the RVs in their parks. So I think a lot of them are accommodating the RVs. So I'm looking forward to checking out the cost of the RVs and we're saving already. I've already got money put away for the vacation that's not being attached to right getting the teeth fixed or getting the glasses fixed. My crew here, we move together, you guys. We move together. And I sure would love to see you guys take yourself into consideration um, to make a little bit of gift of taking care of yourself in your decision making, right? Even right now, I'm sure you guys can think of things that you need to get done, some things that would serve your life really, really well in the moment, whether it was towards your health or to your living situation or your working situation or your relationship situation or in your own limiting beliefs that you could do something for yourself. And it doesn't have to cost money, right? Sometimes it just costs your time, right? Sometimes it's just a matter of being headstrong and pig-headed and just making that decision and just adapt and conquering and doing the best that you can, even though you have no idea how to get it done. You just trust and believe that somehow it will get done. So, yeah, vacation, glasses, teeth. These are my choices for this year to work on, right? If I have an opening in my life that I have an opportunity to do a little bit better by myself, I will bring on other choices. There'll be choices that don't cost money that might just cost my time, right? And there will be other choices, I'm sure, that will cost money. But if I can get these things checked off my list, right, we can work on what's next. So I would like to hear from you guys what you would like to do um, in order to move yourself forward a little bit this year, right? I know Melvin's already because Melvin popped in when we had the week when we had goal setting. And I remembered Melvin said he's looking for wifey, right? Well, he didn't say wifey. Maybe it was a girlfriend, but we'll move Melvin into wifey if at all possible. But right, that's a great goal to have. That's a great goal to have. And all of that, it doesn't necessarily cost money, right? You can ask people out and say, do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to go for a drive? Right? Do you want to come over for coffee? Right? Can I come over for coffee? Do you want to go to the park and sit on a bench? Right? So set some goals, and I would love to know some of those goals. So we want to get Nancy with a little bit of a stockpile of cash just in case there's an emergency, right? She has something to fall back on, right? I would say Andrew. Well, he had some good goals last year, and he really did really well on his goals. He thinned out his book collection because he was becoming a little bit of a hoarder when it came to his books. He worked on that. He worked on being a bit of a minimalist last year, right? And he minimized his household a little bit. I don't think it was feng shui or anything like that, but just giving a cleaner, minimalist kind of feel, make things a little bit simpler as we get older, right? So that it was isn't so busy. Because I can tell you, look at, I am eclectic, right? That big shelf, it's all going. All my Potter, it's going, right? I just don't know what to do with it. I just don't know where it's going, but it's going, right? But I am very eclectic in my life, right? So I get it, right? I was looking for my magnifying glass for almost 2 months. I found it when I cleaned my desk. It fell behind somewhere, so I finally got it out. But yeah, some of these goals, I make goals every single week. They're in my head. I don't make them huge, right? My days off are a mix of Mother Nature, a mix of relaxation, a mix of lessons, a mix of getting ready for the next week. Um, and it's that movement forward, right? Just moving forward. And I make choices every week, but every year I make some big choices too. So let's come back into the comments here. Yeah, that homeless thing, I agree, Andrew. It's very scary, but I think Nancy too, right? Might be uncomfortable, right? Can you imagine Nancy in a wheelchair being homeless? That's absolutely just a ridiculous thought, number one. But when we understand that nobody's coming to save us, I hear it all the time, but I think that's that idea, right? God helps those who help themselves. And I think if you make that indication, to whoever or whatever, that you're making that effort. You're making some kind of movement forward, even if it's just emotional or mental, right? Maybe you're making that movement forward in just changing your perspectives and conditioning some of those relationships you have in a way that you take others into consideration, sometimes a little bit more than you take yourself into consideration. But you got to remember, you got to take care of yourself, right? It's in our choices. And I choose to take care of myself, right? We're not, right? Not gold dust and champagne and designer clothes. Well, maybe designer clothes because I work in a thrift stop. I get them really, really cheap. But still, right? In my choices. So yeah, let's go back into the comments here and see if anybody let me know some of those plans or some of those goals that they might have for themselves. I like the heart section here. Let me give me That's me giving myself some hearts there. That's pretty cool. That wasn't there before, was it, you guys? I don't remember that being on my channel before, but yeah, I like those hearts. It's pretty good. Okay, oh, thank you. I didn't mean for you guys to give me hearts, but give me some hearts then. Yeah, cool. My birthday hearts, because happy birthday to me. My sister wanted to take me out for dinner tonight, but it was a hard week. It was a hard week, and sometimes because we accomplished in not necessarily getting my laptop up and running, but understanding what the problem is. So we're going into editing. So hopefully tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my codec program that I'll be using for my video. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to start uploading my cuts that I want to use. We're going into the next adventure, you guys. I think we only made it to day number 1, didn't we? So we're going into day number 2, and day number 2 is so stuffed full. I might even have an hour and a half or 2 hours worth of content from that day. So I'm going to cut it down a little bit, but there are some parts that I don't want to cut down and I don't think I should cut down, like the trail walks, right? And even though I ran out of space on my camera, that we didn't get to the open end of the lake, the trail walk was absolutely beautiful that day. I did a couple of them, a couple of parts I did walks, but this one trail that I did, I was the only one on it, and it was so beautiful. I walked along a creek for, oh my goodness, miles, and it was just amazing. So I got a trail walk on the next video, me cooking breakfast, my second morning on my, or is it my first morning? My first morning, I just had toast and coffee, but I had my camp stove, and right, we had a little chit chat. And I made a friend. I made a friend with a squirrel. Was it a chipmunk? Chipmunk. It might have been a chipmunk. Made a friend with a chipmunk that morning. I did a tour of the comfort station so you guys can see what camping is like, because I would love to see you guys be able to spend a little time in Mother Nature. And I suspect that the in the states, their national parks are absolutely beautiful, and their state parks are absolutely gorgeous too, right? Because there's money in that. The RVers, right? They need that space in the park for camping and stuff. And that's good money. It's almost $50 to rent a spot in a provincial park. And at least here in Canada and in the States, that $50 is more like 70 or $75. So I'm not sure if renting a spot is that expensive in the States, but it's an experience to get close to Mother Nature. And my hopes is that, in sharing this trip that I do every single year, that maybe you guys might be compelled to maybe, right, plan a trip for yourself, um, and realize that it wasn't so expensive. I was gone for a week. I had the Jeep Rubicon. I rented a Jeep Rubicon. My entire trip cost me I'm going to say $2,000, right? $2,000 because the truck was almost $1,000, right? Yeah, so I would have to say it cost me almost 2,000 because I had to pay for gas, right? Right, and the camping spots and stuff. So for $2,000, I made the most wonderful holiday and stayed connected to Mother Nature that entire time and had a dazzle and amaze experience and interactions with many, many people on that trip. I'll be telling stories along the way as we do the videos. I think my first video, you guys, will be probably I'm thinking Thursday night. So if you're home on Thursday, how about if we do a premiere on Thursday night? I'll give you the heads up if plans change. But what if we do a premiere? I haven't done a premiere yet. So it would be a good thing to add on to my channel, my next adventure, and then I could just add it into my adventures onto my channel for everybody else to watch after that. So yeah, let's do a plan for a premiere on on Thursday night. Okay, so that gives me 2 days. That gives me 2 days to get the video edited. And like I said, there's like an hour and a half. I'm going to try to do the least amount of editing as I can. I'm not so um, vigilant on myself because I don't really put so much emphasis of, oh, somebody's going to think this of me, or they're going to think I'm an idiot, or Cindy, you said something really silly that way, that I don't do that anymore. So, I don't tend to edit those conversations. I'll just leave them in. There may be times where something happened in the frame, or I decided I wanted to take some photographs because I just spotted something really cool and I wanted to take some photographs, and because I filmed with my phone, that I would have to end what I was doing just so that I could take these landscapes that I wanted to take. I have so many beautiful landscapes, and I should be actually, I'm going to commit also to getting some of those landscapes up to Instagram also on my days off. I got an eye infection this week. I'm not sure what it is. It is some kind of sore. I'm not sure if it's a sty because it's not in the corner of my eye. It's in the middle of my eye, and it's right underneath my lid, and it's a little white spot, right? So it kind of looks, I don't know if you ever get canker sores in front, or like canker sores. What else do they call them? They call them something else. My mother called them something else. Cankers? Did she call them cankers? But they were the little mouth sores that you would get, right, when you ate too much salt and vinegar potato chips, or if you had a cold or something. So it looks like a little canker underneath my eyelid. But even today, it feels better today. And I played with it quite a bit yesterday, trying to figure out what was wrong, because I could feel the swelling and I can feel that it hurt, but I just couldn't spot where it was. And I actually had to kind of go like this and look underneath the eyelid until I spotted the little white canker right in the center of the bottom eyelid. So I suspect cankers usually last a few days. So after a few days, it'll probably just go away on its own, but I'm paying attention to it, right? At least I know it's not shingles, because it kind of crossed my mind that it might be shingles. So that's wiped off it, and I don't have to give any thought to shingles. So yeah, yay. I purposely try not to give any thought to shingles, but it was one of the things when I was thinking, what's wrong with my eye? Because I never had that experience before. In at very least recent memory, maybe as a teenager or something, I might have had a sty. Not quite sure. Um, but as an adult, no, definitely not. I've never had a sty before as an adult, but I guess I do. I guess I do now. And like I said, it feels much better. Okay, so back into the comments here. Oh, thank you, Owen. Yeah, pray for Nancy. That's sweet of you, Owen. And I send good cheer. I'm sending you good vibes, and you can't move anywheres, Nancy, because I got a parcel that I'm sending to you. And I'm not gonna send you this parcel if you don't have a roof over your head, right? Because you just won't get it. So do whatever you can to make sure, right? Oh my goodness. Right? Right? Is this a presidential decision? Is this something he's doing, or is the whole government thinking of doing this? That's just, they don't understand what it does to people emotionally, right? And I can imagine I have a fear of not having a roof over my head. But could you imagine Nancy, right? Being in that situation where she might not have a roof over her head, that would be a very big fear for her. That would not be even comfortable for me to even. I'm not giving it any thought, Nancy. I'm not giving it any thought. That ain't happening. Hey, let's go back into the comment. $1,000 a month for rent? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Then you would have to go on the welfare system, wouldn't you, Nancy? Right? You wouldn't have a choice but to go on the welfare system. But you do whatever you have to do and not worry about the judgment of everybody. I know you're not that way anyway, but just do what you have to do, Nancy. Oh my goodness. But yeah, right. But make sure you're taking care of yourself. At the very least, can you take your daily vitamins? Because I know you're probably sacrificing your meals and right all those little extras that you do for yourself, and it's important to treat yourself like you matter. Nancy decided not to tear down her train platform, and she actually posted, and it's so amazing, you guys, right? Halloween night, she is going to be doing a presentation, but she shared her platform on Instagram, and it was absolutely amazing. She did such a beautiful job. Yeah, pumpkins, and it was very Halloweeny and very colorful too. You did an amazing job on that, Nancy. You did an absolutely amazing job. But yeah, exactly. Right. Every Sunday, just pop in and just keep us posted if you can. I'm glad that you're giving YouTube another chance and just going about it a little bit differently, maybe. But yeah, keep us posted on that, Nancy. Yeah, I have, well, when we were talking about, my microphone that my sister got me for my birthday, and how I have two microphones, right? They're wireless and you just clip them onto your shirts. That I have two, and then I have my receiver, and the receiver goes into my phone, and then when I do my interviews, who I'm interviewing will also wear a microphone. But one of those other people is a homeless lady, and her husband. They're both homeless, and they're just beautiful people. They're Christians too. He plays the guitar, and he does long hours. He starts work the same time as I do in the morning, and when I leave work at night, he's still there, and he's still putting in hours after I leave. He works harder than anybody who works for the man, but he works for himself, right? And his wife panhandles, right? Begs for money. She's the sweetest lady. She's so sweet. Last weekend, she came into the store, and, we don't not supposed to take care of the homeless, right? But it's part of my mindset, and I would never ever allow anybody to go without, right? And of course I got to honor my employers. That's the job that puts the roof over my head in the moment, but I have to honor myself too. So all of us have been doing our very best, right? Letting people know we can't take care of them until they can start taking care of us again, like we were taking care of them, like we're trying to teach them a lesson, right? But at the same time, the season is changing right now. And during this time of year, they're coming in for winter coats and snow pants and sleeping bags, right? And I can't help them out unless I take it out of my own pocket. So we have to be very vigilant in how we go about ex- expressing these I well, it's not ideas, these rules, right? But these rules that we have to all abide to, and at the same time take care of our safety, because right, because you say no to somebody, you don't know whether or not they're going to accept the no, or they're going to cry, right? Or they're going to freak out, or they're going to, right, pull out a switchblade or something. You don't know. We have to feel every situation out, and that's what we do. We have to feel. And I have younger people that work with us, and I tell them, right, like if they come up, you just get them out. Just, right, don't argue with them, don't carry conversation with them. If you possibly can, treat them with respect, but just move them along their way, right? We don't want to stir up those emotions in them. But there is a couple, husband and wife, that I don't usually give them money. I have given them money, but I normally don't give them money. But I do nice things for them. I'll give them a pair of pants or a sweater if it's cold. If they need something, right? We make sure that they have what they need, right? As we do with a few people who have been respectful and conscious of how they treat us and the company, right? Picking and choosing the best we can, trying to salvage some of these relationships, because these relationships are salvaged, right? Is just a few bad apples that are ruining it for everybody. And this lady, her name's Andrea, she is going to do an interview with me. I'm going to interview her, and I hope you guys look at her and sense the angels that the two of them are. Not to say they don't have problems, right? They would be the first to admit that they have issues and problems, right? But they're homeless, right? You can imagine the pressure, and how do you relieve that? Sometimes, right, is in that coping and in those choices that we make, right? And she's agreed to allow me to interview her, and right, respectfully, I will interview her, only because of the message, right? Because she truly is inspiring. And I'm very curious with her, because one of those problems and one of my limiting beliefs and one of those obstacles that will trip me up every single time is in that idea of being told no, right? That rejection, that no. And being a panhandler, she panhandles and she probably gets that rejection. She gets those no's, and she probably gets some of that cruelty, and she gets it consistently all day long, every day of the week, every day of the year. And I'd like to know how it impacts her life, right? That how how it affects her, if it affects her, right? Because that for me, that takes more courage than I possibly could imagine, right? To be able to ask somebody for something that you need. And we all need, don't we? But some of us, it's in the programming, right? Take care of yourself, don't ask for help, right? Keep it in the family, right? Sometimes it's in that pride, right? Just, oh, I don't want anybody to know that I don't have groceries in my cupboard, right? I don't want anybody to know that I can't afford my dental, and right? I'm missing a tooth. I'm not missing a tooth yet, but that's in my choices, right? Like Nancy, in that preparedness, because you could imagine if something happened and I don't have these wonky glasses at all, I'd be wandering around like wax paper and there would be no hope for me, right? So, yes, just in case, right? You don't know. The government might crash. Maybe every optometrist goes out of business and I won't have that opportunity to get that pair of glasses. So when I have that opportunity, we got to get these things done. I also ended my contract with the car co-op. You guys know that last year I joined a car co-op. We actually took one of the co-op cars, and on my September trip, when I got home, I had a $1,700 bill to pay, and I paid that, and I paid it all in a month. It hurt so bad, but I was so proud that I was able to do that. It was totally unexpected. I thought it was going to be half of that amount, and it turned out to be more than double the amount. But I did that. I don't make use out of that car co-op. And because I invested $500 in the shares to be part of the car co-op, that $500 could be something that I could use towards my dental. It takes a couple of months before that process of ending contracts and those refunds happen. But 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 right, I'll be able to I'll be able to have that $500 back, and I will invest that in my teeth. That money's coming in December. So that will be the extra money that I put in my medical expenses to get me above that 500 or that $1,000 deductible, right? That will put me more than over. And then when I get my income tax return, which should be an extra, I don't know how much, but it will be extra, right? That rest of it can go for the the rest of the dental that I do need, the rest of the expenses that I do need. And then maybe possibly, because after I've got all that done, we probably will have it all done by, I would say, by February, right? And I'll be working on my goals for my vacation at the same time and saving for that. That maybe I'll be able to take a second trip. This is this is the bonus. If I can accomplish these big goals that I set for myself this year, is I want to go to a workshop or a seminar, and I want to go and spend some time with people like me, right? I want to be with the teachers, right? I want to be with people who explore the inside and the outside. I want to be with the entrepreneurs because they're light in the darknesses, right? There are so many empaths that are striving to be their own bosses, to work for themselves, the highly sensitives, because it's hard to work for other people, right? Again, that idea of getting yelled at or treated badly, or that judgment, right? That we don't take well to dictation. We don't. I don't. Right. I give respect 100%. And I have had bosses and I got bosses that I highly respect, right? The leaders in the company that I work for are absolutely amazing, right? They take good care of their employees, right? They allow us to be ourselves, right? Right? Cindy's a strange bird. What if I didn't have my glasses? Right, no handle on my glasses at all, big gripping scratches, missing tooth, right? They would still accept me, right? Because of their mission statement for who they serve, right? Right? And they serve, and surprisingly, it wasn't the homeless because it is the vulnerable in a way, but it's in a way of creating jobs, right? It's how I got my job. Came within 24 hours of becoming homeless, right? I was in desperate need of a job. I just needed a heads up, and I would take it from there. And I got that gift and I got that opportunity, but it was just in my choices to say, yes, please. When that opportunity to get some mentorship was offered, yes, I'm in, right? Would you like this job? I fought it a little bit. I was going with I was going with the job, whatever job was offered to me, but I was trying to dictate what that job would be, right? I was trying to make my own choices, trying to persuade them because I didn't want to go to a thrift store. I didn't want to work it. I thought it was, in truth, beneath me, right? I wasn't woken up to these ideas, right? Not like I am now, but I love my job. I love working in a thrift store, and my whole life has led up to that. In fact, as a child, I think at 7 and 8 years old, my nickname in school was secondhander. That was my nickname because I wasn't obese at that time. Maybe in my family's eyes and that worry and that stress that I might be, right? They stressed that maybe I was. But in all truth, that weight gain didn't happen until, right, I hit puberty. And that's really when the weight started to gain, right? To come on to me. But early before that, no, I didn't have those weight problems. So it makes sense that those kids would have found a different word for me, a different nickname for me, which at that time was secondhander, right? And now I work in a secondhand store, contemplating opening up a secondhand store, right? But I don't want to do it on my own. I want to be able to do it with others because I want to attach my brand to it. But the idea is, right? It won't be forever because I'm building my brand to sell it. This is what I'm doing. Cindy's not going anywhere. Otherwise, this would be the Cindy Jean show or right, Cynthia Minette show, right? This wouldn't be Prairie Dodgers, right? Prairie Dodgers are the movers, the shakers, the people who are making choices, who are taking control over their own lives, who are making movement in their own lives, who are bringing change because a Prairie Dodger, right, looks out for what's best for themselves. And originally, that title, Prairie Dodgers, I don't know if I told you guys. I may have told you guys. I know I've mentioned the story on Instagram, but a Prairie Dodgers, the first time I heard the name Prairie Dodger, I said, "Oh, is that ever a great name?" And I was working on my channel, but I was watching a YouTube video, I think, or I was reading an article online, and I was never able to come across it again. I came across it once and I named my channel Prairie Dodgers because of the story. And the story was in the States. It actually is an American story because in the States in the First World War, there were people who didn't want to fight, that didn't want to go to war, and they got drafted. They didn't have a choice but being their own person, right? Making their own choices because they knew that they couldn't kill other people, that they weren't in this world to hurt others, right? They may have disgraced or shamed their family, right? Depending on the judgment in that. And they dodged dodged, right? This is where Prairie Dodgers, right? Uh, they dodged they dodged the draft, and they came up here, crossed the border, and there's a little town called Carberry. Carberry. I'm going back a ways. Carberry. I think it starts with a C. Carberry, and they had um, lots of train tracks and everything coming from west or going west even, and there were a whole bunch of empty train cars, and these prairie dodgers, right, they were dodging the First World War. They lived in the train cars, right, and they got the name Prairie Dodgers because they had dodged the war, and they were amalgamated and assimilated into the community, right? Became farmers, became part of the town. Some of them, after the First World War, did go home, but lots of them stayed and became Canadians and lived in Manitoba and actually have generations, right? Right to this moment. The ones who did go home, right? Maybe got married, had children, had wives and children, lives, good lives for themselves. Maybe they went home, and maybe the shame of their family because they dodged the war, right? That right, it's like the Civil War. Families fought against each other. It all depended on your opinions and what side you were fighting for, right? So same kind of idea when these men went back home and right, try and settle into their community as somebody who dodged their draft. Um, but when the Second World War started, right, that same idea of dodging the draft, right, came up, and maybe these fathers were worried for their sons. Maybe these sons were following in the footsteps of their father's ideas. Right? Maybe it was a neighbor, maybe it was a friend who was thinking, I don't want to go to war. And because this person from the First World War remembered what he did and thought it might be beneficial for somebody who might have felt the same way as he did, they told these people who didn't want to go to war about what they did, about being prairie dodgers up in Manitoba and living in the train cars, the abandoned train cars. And so during the Second World War, there was a second, what do you call that? A second coming of Americans who were looking to dodge going to war. So we had two different generations dodge the draft as train car. What do you call them? What do you call them? Nancy knows. Nancy, train car jumpers. Is that what you call them? But they didn't jump. These cars didn't move anywhere. They were abandoned cars that they just turned into homes, and they lived there. And then right in the Second World War, it happened again. And I named my channel Prairie Dodgers. I thought it was such a cool name because of that story, because it impacted my heart. Because for myself, I wouldn't go to war, right? It goes against my you couldn't get me to hold a rifle up and shoot somebody even if my life depended on it, right? I'm not sure that I could do that. And so I might have been one of those people that would look to dodge dodge the draft. I really, my heart went out when I read this story, and right, that name truly resonated with me. And it is in that idea, right? Wars are stupid. Wars are useless and harmful emotionally, physically, economically, and spiritually, right? Because even in the commandments, it says, "Thou shalt not kill." It doesn't say you shall not kill unless you're told to go to war, right? Thou shalt not kill. So I don't blame anybody, right? If somebody wanted to dodge the war, that was your choice. You chose to do that, right? And in doing that, well, if you have a problem with your family when you move home, right? You'll deal with it when you deal with it. You made that choice, right? Or if you decided that you wanted to stay, right? That would be your choice. And so I named my channel Prairie Dodgers. And I don't, well, I know why, how I felt, that the story that I told you, but I was never able, right? Because I wanted to do some more research because I knew I would be telling this story again. And I wanted to make sure that I had my sources down packed, right? So just in case you wanted to stumble onto the story, I did Googling and everything. That word Prairie Dodgers, it's only connected to my brand. It doesn't connect with anything else. And so I've lost the resource of that story. But that's okay, right? I'm not changing my name, right? This brand is Prairie Dodgers. I explore the inside and the outside, right? And it fits in perfectly with that story, right? Because in creating the best human being I possibly can, I'm making choices. I'm making my own choices. Some of those choices are not good choices. Some of those choices are fantastic, super duper. How did you even think of that, Cindy? You're amazing kind of choices. And some of those choices are just in the procrastination, just in that, right? The couch and the remote control and staying comfy and not rocking the boat without, um, well, you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean on that. So, so yeah, choices, my one word. And that's only something that I discovered that I had down packed this week. I think it just needed lots of lessons. I needed it to smack me in my face as to what my one word was. And it serves me just as well, if not better, because kindness was one of my words, right? It serves me well because that idea of choices, because I could have made a choice. I could have chosen to run away from home, right? And in making that choices, I might have sacrificed in that relationship, those beautiful relationships that I have with my sisters, right? I may have, I may have, in my choice of anything, in how and what got me to this point right now, that my life could have been so amazing, could have been so dazzling amazed, right? When my marriage fell apart, that possibly I could have gotten married again and had babies and a family and stuff, right? But I don't cry over that spilt milk, not in the least, because those were my choices, right? And I'm not going to beat myself up over my choices, but I am going to take note. I'm going to take note, realizing that, some of my choices I did really good by, some of my choices I didn't. And that's part of waking up to some of these ideas and doing a little bit of course correcting, right? A little bit of course correcting. It's in the repetitiveness, right? And it's in that understanding that, right, kindness is still there because I do have to treat myself kind, right? But I choose to treat myself with kindness. I choose to set these goals because my movement depends on making choices, because change doesn't happen until you make a choice. and then put a little effort behind that choice. Let's come in and take a look. I know we're running late here. Oh my goodness, we are running a little bit late, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of explain to you about that story. So, if anybody wants to Google, if you guys ever come across anything, I would love some detailing, a little bit more detailing. If I could come across that article again, or even meet one of the Prairie Dodgers, because, right, 1940s, there would still be Prairie Dodgers. They would be in their 70s or 80s now, wouldn't they? The ones from the Second World War, they would be in their 70s or 80s, right? And maybe there's even some from the First World War. But I would love to hear a little bit more about the Prairie Dodgers, especially when my channel is named after them. But I'm not changing my name of my channel, right? Because I built this channel to be the evidence that I can create, building my brand. And I'd like it to be exploring the inside and exploring the outside, because I think this is what the world needs right now, right? And then I'll move on, right? Start another channel, Cindy Jean or Cynthia Jean, or name it something else, and then build that brand and sell that. But eventually, I suspect, I would like to think that maybe I would even go on the circuit myself, right? Maybe do some TEDx talks, or maybe do some Google talks. That would be absolutely amazing, right? Maybe go work for some of my favorite thought leaders out there, people who are light in the darknesses, trudging through the darkness, right? To do right by other people, and then, like me, possibly, right? Not taking ourselves into consideration, and then maybe just help people so that they can understand that they can have all that, they can do all that, right? But they have to do for themselves too, right? That they have to treat themselves, because this is their story. This is my journey, right? This is what I'm sharing, right? So it's all in our choices. And I didn't know why I started talking about choices today, but I am exhausted. I come home from work. I haven't even drunk my coffee yet. I did have my Chinese food, because you saw me burp a couple of times. My Chinese food dinner, it was absolutely delicious. I'm in my days off now, so I'm good. I'm going to have a good sleep tonight. Like I said, tonight I'm going to see if I can find my Kodak program that I'm going to use. Tomorrow I'll be getting all my content ready. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be editing video. And Thursday night? No, Wednesday night. Let's say Wednesday night. Wednesday night we'll do a premiere, because Thursday night I don't get off work and I won't be home until after 9 o'clock on Thursday night. So we'll do the premiere on Wednesday night. So I've got a couple of days in order to get that video out. It might not be pretty, but the challenge is there, and it's only in the practicing, right? And we did get back up and running, right? We did get back up and running, and I was able to get a video out. I hope everybody got to see my little video that I put up there. Did you guys all see? I know Kathy saw it. But yeah, let me know if you saw it. If you guys didn't see it, go watch. I got a video up this week, and it was just a short one. I think it was only 5 or 6 minutes long, but it was me at a restaurant, and I'll let you guys discover it for itself, but go check it out. And actually, wow, I think I called that video, it's in our choices. Oh my goodness. Isn't that funny? Maybe that was the whole spec of this conversation, was to get you guys to go over and watch that video that I put up. Yes, go do that. Okay, you guys, I am exhausted and I'm starting not to make sense. Let's give me some hearts. Let's see if I can give myself some hearts. Woohoo! There we go. Give myself some hearts. Say it goodbye to all you guys. I know I'll see Melvin this week. I know I'll see Nancy this week. I'll probably see Kathy during the week too, right? William showed up last week. Owen showed up. this week. So all of you guys showed up on my live show, my other live show this week. Thank you so much. You don't have to do this. I'm always happy that you guys come and hang with me on this show. But you know what? Oh, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Everybody, have a great night, and we'll see each other sometime this week. Oh, now I need the fan in my pajamas. Have a great night, everybody. Bye bye.